like how can we more effectively use our athletes as cultural, economic, and social ambassadors?
You know, the Kenyan flag is really, in fact, even just having what Big Ted is wearing on his hand, you know, people see that and they're like, oh man, you're from Kenya?
Yeah.
They know the flag.
I mean, that thing has been a free Kenyan advertiser. But talking about, you know, like our athletes, because we're out in Boston, and of course Big Ted was also to come, but at that point when we were planning this, that news that you know, like is being replaced had not come in. So it would have been nice to have you, Big Ted, out there, and hopefully next year in your new capacity you'll be able just to come, and you'll be more free. But we were out there in Boston, and of course we had the privilege of interacting with all these great, you know, like marathon runners from Kenya who are participating, which was the then upcoming Boston Marathon. It was a Saturday night and they were running on Monday. And then the Ethiopian runners also came out. There was a Tanzanian runner. These are the elite runners. Then there was other people who bought tickets into the event, you know, like random people who are from Brazil, are from Australia, but they came to run the Boston Marathon. They had wind of the event.
I think even Japan was there.
Yeah, even Japan,
Brazil,
New Zealand. These people,
Netherlands,
you know, like they had wind of the event and they just bought tickets because these are marathon runners, and they were so excited. Like you could see it even when they were given a chance to talk. They were so excited that they were coming here to run the Boston Marathon. You know, the Boston Marathon usually I think has up to 50,000 runners, but being able to come here and be in the presence with the elite runners, which is a very small class,
Kenyan.
So there was there was a lot of excitement, and these were people from other parts of the world, and this is a space where we also interacted with Tembea Kenya. So Big Ted, to you, like how can we more effectively use our athletes as cultural, economic, and social ambassadors? Because we see what other countries do with the athletes who are world champions. How can we better leverage on that, Big Ted?
So the first thing is to confess that I have been part of a conversation to create a cultural diplomacy policy which government is able to use to honor or to use or to utilize our cultural ambassadors who are out there. Even you guys are cultural ambassadors, you know, because you're there talking about Kenya, playing Kenyan music when you open up, playing Kenyan music when you close, you know. Today I told you I was with the Mweta family who have 1.3 billion views. I was with Elsa Majimbo the other week. I was with lots of other people. And the Kenya Kwanza government in its manifesto said it's going to honor athletes and people in the creative industry. And I think that process is happening. One of the things that will happen is we shall get a policy document so that the policy goes beyond the people who are making it and it's spread out. One of the things that happened when I first came to LA, I told you guys this last time, I met a very rich guy, one of the most prominent rich people in America, black. And he told me that how come Kenya does not use your best people who we know, your athletes, you know, to run for the country. And I think that we've been trying to do that. We've been trying to incentivize them. We've been trying to make sure that part and parcel of them running is also making sure that the flag is lifted high. Now going home, I want to go and try and convince the government that apart from that, we also inscribe in ink somewhere there a PR effort around these people so that these guys don't win the race and disappear somewhere in a party that the rest of us cannot be able to enjoy. In LA over the last 2 years, I have hosted the rugby team every time they've come in my house, and I've called other people. I've hosted the marathon winners and the teams every time they've come here and they have won. So that is part of what we need to do. And I believe where we are going next, we'll be able to actually utilize all these people. So remember, all these are just fields or grounds or frontiers that were previously not charted. And now we're trying as a government to run as fast as possible to bring all these guys in and to make sure that everybody benefits.
Okay, good. Now, what about runners like those ones who let the Chinese guys win? Are we also including them in this in this cultural ambassadorship? You know, that video really went viral. You know, like and it was, and for those maybe who are not familiar, there was a video of some Kenyan runners who were doing, I think it was across country in China, and then towards the finish line, you could see the Chinese guy struggling, and the Kenyan runners behind him were just strolling like they were taking a morning jog, but they were really encouraging him to go and win the race. And this actually really went viral, and there's a lot of memes, you know, like surrounding it. Big Ted, uliona hiyo video?
Sikuiona.
We wacha hizo.
No. I definitely saw it.
Yeah.
And I know that the relevant authorities were looking at it. One of the things that we also have to understand about athletics, sports, and everything else is that there's the time when an athlete is actually running sanctioned for the country, and there's a place where any athlete can actually go and run the race about that. So we are yet to get what the official position is from the athletics body, but I want to assure you that anytime you see a Boston Marathon, anytime you see an LA Marathon, anytime you see a New York Marathon, and people of that kind of caliber running that particular race, it is just a natural inclination and nothing else apart from that. We shall know about this very soon, and I'm sure we'll be able to let the world know exactly what went on.
Almost fire. Do you know do you know what happened there? You know, like when those Kenyan runners were.
Omosh was not there, so he's talking as who?
When the Kenyan runners were running.
Yes.
Omosh, unaongea kama nani?
Omosh has his sources huko.
According to my sources, they were pace setters.
No, according to a lot of, you know, like media sources, they're saying that they were pace setters.
Yes.
But they ended up with the bibs, and they finished the race. From my understanding, pace setters typically drop off at some point in the race.
Yeah, they don't get to the finish line.
Yeah, but this guy's got to the finish line. So interesting. You know, like there's been news reports that that win was disqualified, blah blah blah. But as Big Ted said,
we still don't know.
We'll get to know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And another interesting thing that Big Ted mentioned is that sanctioned races. You know, and this is something I think Kenyans need to start familiarizing
Why don't we have
themselves. Kenyans, first of all, need to start familiarizing themselves with these marathons, because there's so many marathons around the world. Some of them are unsanctioned. Unajua kama vile unaweza kuorganize, let's say like there are sanctioned boxing fights, then there's a fight that you can organize, you know, like at the backyard of a house. Zile kina Kimbo Slice used to fight. Those are unsanctioned. So with marathons, I think there's also quite a number of marathons out there that even Kenyans run that are unsanctioned races. But interesting point. We talked a lot about, you know, like Kenya starting to have sanctioned races where people can run for money in Kenya, not just charity. That's an interesting thing to go. Sad to know that, not sad, but at least it's coming to Africa, that an Abbott leg of the marathons will be going to Cape Town. It would have been nice if it would have been coming.
Doesn't make sense to me. Unless somebody's saying infrastructure, blah blah blah, or whatever, and they're looking at Kenya.
I think it's beyond.
It does not make sense.
Yeah, I think
if they did Ethiopia or Kenya, I would understand.
No, I think there's a lot of other benchmarks that they need to look at, because even when you look at the countries that host the Abbott marathons, they don't produce the best marathoners in the world. They host them because they have certain infrastructures that I think now, with what Big Ted is going back to Kenya and do, I think they're gonna start thinking of bringing in that infrastructure that will enable us to be in good position to host, you know, like such marathons, because that will be a lot of revenue.
Because I mean, we need it. Kipkeino Classic is a big deal now. These guys, these guys are running to Kenya to run with other Africans.
Yes,
because they've realized those African athletes are no joke. So they want to come for the Kipkeino Classic.
Yeah.
You know? So I just think this is one of those things that just adds on to, you know, the reasons why we need to have folks pushing and adding on, and we as Kenyans ourselves need to be our number one advocates. We are the ones who need to be pushing our agenda and pushing the agenda of the Kenyan athletes. And everywhere we go, we should be, you know, wearing, you know, the Kenyan flag is really, in fact, even just having what Big Ted is wearing on his hand, you know, people see that and they're like, oh man, you're from Kenya?
Yeah.
They know the flag.
I mean, that thing has been a free Kenyan advertiser. A lot of people know about that,
bracelet.
That bracelet, yeah.
Yeah.